Welcome back to Red Hawk Media. In the first part of the HealthBar tutorial series, we basically got all of the assets that we needed to start putting this thing together. And that's what we're going to focus on in this part, is graphically creating the representation that we're seeing in this corner here. So we'll have a slider that actually operates and goes down and interacts with the saw. And there's a few parts to this and a little bit of script that we've got to drag around, so let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to disable my current UI system. And just don't worry about this. Alright, and now we're going to create our overall UI system that we're going to be using. And the UI is, if you zoom out basically, you've got this much larger canvas that's going on here that's interacting with your game, and it's being resized on your game, and it's a layer unto itself. The UI layer is completely above everything else in the hierarchy and in the arrangement order, and that's where we're going to be stacking all of our health components to put this together. So let's go ahead and get started with that part. We're going to go ahead and come up to create. We're going to create a UI and then a canvas. Now the canvas is actually the part that's going to show up here, and you'll see what I mean. So you can see this white box here. Okay, if I zoom out, there's the full white box that we'll be working in throughout this process. Now to begin with, we're just going to rename this canvas. We'll call it UI. And we'll be adding a lot of things in the coming tutorials into this. Our health bar, one of them, eventually a end screen that pops up when you die, and a number of other things. So this is going to be something we keep coming back to. Now the next part of all this is we want to get a background for our health bar in here. And I got to be careful how I word this, and you'll see why in a bit here. Let's go ahead on the actual UI. Let's go ahead and right click, and then we're going to create from the UI menu again. We're going to create an image. So we're going to go to image right here. And now that's going to bring up this little square here, and it's a whole lot of nothing right now, but we're going to reassign that image to what we just photoshopped in the previous part here. So I'm going to go into my image script over here, and where it says none for the sprite, I can either drag in a sprite, or I can just click on this little bar here, and if you remember the name, you can scroll down to it. I think it was like window something, window blue. And let's check this out somewhere around in here. There's our plus sign that we'll be using, and let's go up through these. Hey, there we are. Okay, so there's our health bar background that we're using right now. Now you can use any background you want as long as it's a PNG, and as long as you drop it on the UI layer like I'm doing right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and accept that change. And now let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And we're going to resize this so that it's proportionally looking good. And bring that out here, and that's a pretty good start right there. That'll give us a lot of work room to work with. Now on top of this image layer, okay, we want to get actually a slider that interacts with our player health. And that's our next step. So we're going to come back to the UI here. We're going to right click on it. And now we're going to create from the UI menu again a slider. And we get this. The slider pops up here. We can move this over into place. And for now, we can go ahead and resize this, which will make it easier to work on. And we'll resize it all at the very end to make it fit perfectly into the health bar part here. But now we can see what we're actually working on. Now in the slider, we've got a few elements here that I want you to be aware of. So if I go over to the hierarchy, I drop down slider, and we scroll down, you'll see there's a few things in here. You got a background that naturally is on the slider. So when I said image background before, this is what I was talking about, not to get confused with the two. This background is going to be a secondary color. Let's think of it that way. So like we have our top layer color, And then we have our bottom color. So as the slider goes down, we'll see this color more and more. And then we have a handle slide area. This is if we wanted to have an interactive slider. Let's say we had a menu and we wanted to take up the volume of something, slider like that we would be using. We don't need it actually for this health bar, so we're going to go ahead and delete that right out of there. Okay. And now with the background, you can go ahead and choose a color, and you can change this at any time, but let's go ahead and start with just red to begin with. And that's very visible. It's easy to edit with, and you'll see what I mean with that. Now, right now it says that it's got a source image, and it's called background. Let's go ahead and click on that, and we're going to scroll all the way to the top of our menu now, and we'll choose none. We don't want any image in there, we just want the color. Now we're going to go to the fill area. We're going to drop that down, and I go into the fill, and same thing. I'm going to get rid of the picture by scrolling all the way up to none and choosing that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick a different color here. Let's go ahead and get more into our greens here, and let's brighten that green up. Get it really green, more green. Okay, and we're starting to get there. Let's see here. I'd like to get more over into this area. Let's see here. There. That's the green we're looking for. Okay, so this is going to be our green to indicate our actual health. You can pick any color you want. The thing is that it should contrast with the other one so that we can see it clearly. I'm going to go ahead and close that now at this point. And now we're going to start making some adjustments to the slider so that it's set up for our health. So if I click on slider in the inspector area, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We have a slider script, and we're going to make this not interactable. Okay? And then the second part of this is we want this to represent our health. And our health is not out of a scale of 1, it's out of a scale of 100. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we got 100% maximum value for our health. We want it to be whole numbers, so it's not counting off decimal points in between here. And we're going to go ahead and turn that up all the way. And now you can see a few things that we're going to have to fix. One, when I turn this up all the way, there's still a little red background showing here. Okay, and when I turn this down all the way, you can see that there's still a little bit of green in here. And this was maybe one of the most frustrating things to figure out because it doesn't seem very intuitive how this works. So let me show you this process. I'm going to go ahead and grab the background. Right? I'm going to make sure that I'm on my resizing tool here, or I don't know if I call it scaling tool, but my resizing tool. And now very carefully I'm going to come in and grab the anchor points here, the 2 dots. Do not touch anything else because that will basically end in your immolation. No, I'm just kidding. But it will end badly for you. It resizes the slider in a way that makes it inoperable, and then you kind of have to start this process again. So I bring that in from the end. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to resize the fill area because we noticed that when we take this down, I'm clicking back to the slider, and then I'm just going to interact with the value here and take that down. We still have this little bit here that's left, so we want to get rid of that. So I'm going to take this back up, go to my fill area, and now with the fill area, I'm going to be sure to grab only the circle resizing parts, and I'm going to drag that over to about where that was. And let's double check it to see if it's going all the way down now. Alright, and down to 0. There we go. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Not too bad. I might be able to actually add a little bit back on there, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on. Now I'm going to take my background image, and I'm just going to bring that up to the end here. And make sure that that all fits the way that it's supposed to. Make sure all of the red is covered. And there we have our health bar. Now, at this point, if I'm going to resize this, I want to resize everything that's in here so that it goes together. And I'm going to resize it so it fits more of my background than I brought in here. Well, let's go ahead and bring that in there, bring that up, and then bring this up. And there we go. Now, this image, we want to snap it up to the upper left-hand corner of our slider. So I'm going to take the image and the slider, both of them, and I'm going to click on them and go to center and go to upper left-hand corner of our canvas. And that's where it's going to be placed at. That's what it should lock to. And now, from here, we can go ahead and scroll out. And let's start to position this, and then we'll have to resize all of it together just to get it to work. So let's go to our positioning here, and let's try that again. And let's take this up. And it depends on where you want to have your health bar. I've been choosing the upper left because then it kind of stays out of the character's way. And now I want to resize all of it together. I still have my image and my slider highlighted. And I'm going to bring that down to something that looks a little bit more like a health bar that would be in our game. And I bring that up. You can see I'm going to have to make a little adjustment to our slider size. So let's scroll into that and get that to fit in there just the way that it's supposed to. And make sure that the whole slider is highlighted here. And we're going to bring that out. Bring that over here. And this is a good time to make any tweaking that you need to. Let's get that bottom part down there. Yeah, there we go. All right, not too bad. So now we've got our health bar in there. It is graphically being represented. And in the next part here, just to keep these short and focused and not get too carried away with all this stuff, what I'm going to do is we're going to sync up some script that when the health bar or when the player interacts with something that takes their life, this health bar will then go down. Okay, and that's going to be in the next tutorial here. Thanks for joining us for our health bar series. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Red Hawk Media. Bye.